Hey, loving soul. Okay, so I know you were worried about falling for a narcissist and getting stuck in some toxic relationship that just ends up in heartbreak. The good news is that this is totally avoidable. Once you have these 3 tools under your belt that I'm going to share with you today, you'll be able to think of dating like you would think about a job interview. With experience and knowledge, you absolutely know the red flags to watch out for in an interview and how to assess whether it's the right job for you, don't you? If it's not, and you're truly living in alignment, there's no way you're going to choose the highest paying job with the fanciest offices if your boss is some slimy twerp who pinched your ass on the way out of the interview room. You'd be able to spot those red flags. You would just move on to the next opportunity and just laugh that other one out of the ballpark, right? And that's exactly what dating is like. If you want to have more confidence knowing how to spot somebody who's going to lead you to a toxic relationship, you're in the right place. Let's get stuck in. Have past love relationships brought you anxiety and stress? Maybe you've hit a wall with dating, like, why are all the good ones taken? Even though you're a go-getter, does true love feel unattainable and outside of your control? Hey, I'm Remy, clinical hypnotherapist and my master coach. In this podcast, you will learn how to heal heartache and move on from your past relationships, nurture your inner child, master your mind to work for you instead of against you, live an authentic life that's in alignment with your truth, regulate your nervous system, understand the dynamics of healthy relationships, and attract the loving relationship you truly deserve. 14 years ago, I went from being a codependent, anxious serial dater and marrier of the wrong men until I finally realised I had a lot of work to do. Well, I made it my mission to learn everything I needed from the world's best and did the work, and very quickly met the man I've been waiting a lifetime for. These days, I've got the family and life I dreamed of and use my 3-step framework to help other women claim the same power over their lives. I'm here to expand your belief of what's possible for you. You deserve unshakable self-confidence and a relationship that feels right on every level. It's time to upgrade your subconscious and start some real-life magic happening. So nestle on in and let's get to it. I just would love to quickly share the most lovely review that I got today from my lovely client, Kimberly. She said, Remy is wonderful at what she does. She was able to articulate and help me see where my blocks and limiting beliefs stem from and really hear me. She quickly worked with me and helped me feel clearer, calmer and more confident in where I was going. I am very grateful. Thank you, lovely Kimberly. It's, as always, such a pleasure working with you, my love. Okay, let's get back to it. I don't know about you, but I can think of many times when I fell for a guy just because of the way he looked and his cool demeanour and his sexiness, even though I knew he was bad news. It was almost like I was seduced by what I thought the relationship had the potential to be. And I also loved how they made me feel about myself, that I was cool and gorgeous too. Well, that is the definition of codependence. And once I woke up to that fact and realised that I was cool and gorgeous enough anyway and didn't need anyone to validate that, thanks very much, I found that I was actually turned off by anyone who wasn't in alignment with the kind of guy I truly wanted. It was so simple and yet such a profound shift for me. It literally upgraded my love life beyond measure. It was a bit like looking at the world and its possibilities for me, feeling like a toad sitting on a rock, hoping someone would pick me up and kiss me, to then remembering my true self and power and who I really am, and kissing myself, which transformed me into this glowing, gorgeous goddess. And I felt like I was just soaring to the top of a glorious mountain where I could create the life I wanted for myself out of the smorgasbord of options available to me. It was absolutely mind-blowing how my life and perspective shifted when it came to relationships. And I really want that for you too. I really want you to be in a place where you are feeling very positive about dating, knowing that Love is available for all of us, and that there's absolutely no reason for you to feel nervous at all about dating or meeting someone new or entering into a relationship feeling like you're falling for somebody. It's much better to go into a relationship knowing how to spot red flags and trusting your instincts so that you can rise into love and really enjoy the whole feeling of getting to know somebody without needing them at all. So let's dive on into the 3 tools that are going to act like your shield and protection, your bodyguards against any sort of toxic, narcissistic relationship. So the first tool is developing a strong sense of true self. What does this mean? It means knowing what we want and what we don't want in our life, what our truth is, how we truly feel, what we're here for. And it's also about being aware of our self-concept and upgrading it where necessary. As in, how do you get a sense of yourself? As an example, I used to see myself as someone who was able to attract a guy initially, but I always had this sneaking suspicion that once they got to know me, they would lose interest because I wasn't interesting or basically lovable enough. And that was not a good way to see myself. So I had to change it. I had to start seeing myself as a worthy, lovable beacon of love that I wanted to be. This woman who was going to have this beautiful family that I would be really proud of. Not some lowly bit on the side that, was lucky to have somebody look my way. No way, that was not going to get me anywhere. And until we wake up to this auto-programming we live through, this way we see ourselves, we just think that that's it. That's truth. But then when you're able to look at it from your innate human ability to see things from the perspective of the higher observer, it just becomes so obvious that it's not true. And that conscious awareness is the very first, most important step to changing our self-concept and literally transforming our life. Another part of having a strong sense of our true self is our ability to live with a sense of deep inner well-being. If this is news to you, well, I'm glad that I've got good news to share because we are actually built to feel good. If you're being really honest with yourself, what percentage of your day do you spend feeling good? If you had to put a number on it, 10%, 50%, 30%, 95%? How good is it decent to feel? We're somehow raised to believe that good people struggle and suffer through life and life is hard and enjoying yourself too much is a sin. But it's bullshit. Why not? I mean, if we had a headache 99% of the day, we would know there's a problem. So why is it any different to feel crap or anxious or stressed 99% of the day as well? It's just not right. And all it takes to change it is a little bit of brain retraining. We're literally walking around every day with these built-in pharmacies inside of us. And we are designed to flourish on the chemicals that make us feel good. The oxytocin, the dopamine. And when we don't feel good, it's because we've got chemicals flooding us that make us feel bad, usually cortisol. It makes us inflamed and, it's really the number one leading cause of sickness and poor mental health. These feelings are intended to be a built-in navigation system telling us whether or not we've stepped off our path of alignment. When we feel good, we're on the path. When we feel bad, we're off the path. We're not supposed to be dosing up on cortisol every day and designing our life so we're constantly swimming in it. I go out of my way to avoid suffering in my life. Don't get me wrong, I love struggle and challenge because we are also designed for growth and expansion. Our true self really loves that. But only when it's in alignment with our highest and best wants for our life. I make sure that I've got a very carefully curated feed on Instagram when I'm on it, which is not very often, to be honest, but it has to make me laugh or be inspirational. Otherwise, I'm not looking at it. And honestly, I don't watch the news. I really think the news is very biased, and it's there to get clicks and to get views. So there's always sensationalism and ridiculous headlines, and they focus on the negatives, and who knows what the agendas are behind these stories. Trust me, what you need to hear will come to your ears. It always comes to my ears, all the stories I need to hear. There are far better ways of keeping up with what's important and what's going on in the world than listening to the general mass media news. It is just an absolute downer. And do I need to even talk about social media and scrolling and looking at everyone else's highlighted, like very well curated pictures and perfect posts on their Facebook and Instagram about their wonderful, perfect lives? And even LinkedIn, don't get me started on LinkedIn. But it's all a load of nonsense. That you're looking at 1 millisecond of someone's life that they've probably taken 25 takes of to look perfect. And we all know this logically, but still doesn't stop us feeling really crap when we're scrolling through and judging our own lives against someone else's perfect feed. So just don't do it. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox and go back to talking about what a strong sense of a true self is. So another part of this is having a resolved past, which means that we can look back and notice our full spectrum of experiences, good and bad, while being able to remain emotionally neutral. Now, this isn't to be confused with spiritual bypassing. This is because we've revisited our past, either on our own or with a coach or therapist, and have been able to see how we've attached a meaning to everything that's happened. And from that meaning, we made decisions that still affect us today. And by decisions, I mean we've made it mean things about ourselves that might not have been accurate because it's a meaning that we made at a time when we didn't have the wisdom that we have now. It might, more often than not, it was done through a child's eyes with no filter whatsoever. Now, these meanings inform our belief system and our thoughts inform our behaviours. And so you can see that it has a massive impact on our life if we start believing something that is no longer serving us. And then that plays out in our life in a way that can be quite destructive. Actually, if you're not happy with where you're at in your love life right now, well, guaranteed it's to do with your belief system and what you have allowed into your life and your thoughts and the behaviour that you've acted on because of those thoughts. It's all interlinked. So it's so important that we become consciously aware of as much of this auto-programming as possible so that we can change it to much better serve us and our highest and best visions for our life. So it is very important that we have a sense of self that is really serving us and our highest and best wishes for our life. If not, we end up going down paths that we don't want to go down because we really believe that that's all that's available to us. And the crazy thing is that what you believe is what you shall receive. Really, you go through life and we have something inside of us called a reticular activating system that I'm sure you've heard about from Tony Robbins. And what this does is act as a sort of filter. So all the millions of things around us that we could absorb and look at, we don't, because it would be far too much. We'd end up getting so overwhelmed. So our brain picks and chooses what it wants to see and focus on. Just like if you buy a new car and it's a white car, and then all of a sudden you notice lots of the same white car around. Or if you broke up with somebody who has a certain hair colour, and then all of a sudden everyone has that hair colour and you think it's them every time they're about to turn around, and then you look at their face and it's not them. It's exactly the same thing. We need to tune our mind into what we believe is possible so that we notice more of it. Because if you believe something that isn't serving you, guaranteed you will see lots of evidence of it everywhere. And then the same is true on the flip side too. There's no better example than me and my husband when it comes to parking. So I will drive into a car park and 100% know that there is the perfect car space, at least one car space, which is fine because I only need one car space, and it will be waiting for me. And I know that it's coming, and I just go in there relaxed, happy, not worrying about it. Whereas my husband, bless him, drives into a car park and automatically, before we even get in the car park, is completely and utterly convinced that there are no spaces available. And he gets really angry. And then he will miss opportunities that come up because he is absolutely certain that there are no car parking spaces. To the point where eventually I'm like, do you know what, darling, just go get out the car with the children and I'll park and come meet you inside. And sometimes, if it's a busy day, he will take me up on that offer. But it's a thing. Just the other day, we went to Maroubra Beach, which is near where we live, and it was a beautiful sunny day. It was a weekend, and I knew it was going to be busy. But I didn't worry. I just knew that I was going to find a space. Of course I was. And he went there as well, in another car. Anyway, I found a spot, walked to the beach. I actually saw about 5 different spots come and go as I was walking down this road to the beach with my daughter. And he had my son in the car with another friend and called me up and was like, so stressed, and said, there's no parking spaces, I'm going to go home. And he actually ended up going home. He was so angry about it. It was just absolutely hilarious, to be honest. Poor guy. What stress he made for himself, because what he believed is what he received. So if you believe that you are not destined for love, or that you are not worthy of love, or something about you or your circumstances or your past has dictated in some way that love is not available for you and you are unlovable, or it's not possible for you, well, guess what? That is exactly what you're going to manifest into your life. And so all you have to do is turn that belief around, because it's not truth. It is just a belief. And you can notice how things change for you. There are many ways to do that. And one of my favorite ways is through engaging a hypnotherapist. Unbelievable, very powerful. I am a clinical hypnotherapist, and I can tell you the turnarounds that my clients have in so many areas of their life when they come to see me is unbelievable. And it's fascinating, because once you understand how the brain works, it seems like magic, but it's such a consistent set of positive results that it's not like there's no rhyme or reason. We all have a human experience, and the human experience is governed by cells and molecular physiology that all stack up in the same sort of way and can all be changed in the same sort of way. So if you ever feel that there's no hope in your situation, or that you're different, I guarantee, as unique as you are, don't get me wrong, we're all unique, but suffering because of a way that your brain has been wired can always be changed. And that goes for things like trauma and anxiety, rumination, feeling stuck, feeling depressed, feeling anxious. It all comes down to very similar things. So anyway, if you are suffering with something like that, do get in touch. I would be very, very happy to help you. I'll leave my email and my website in the show notes, but it's herloveupgrade.com, and my email is remy@herloveupgrade.com. All right, so let's go on to the second tool that is so important when it comes to making sure that you stay far away from toxic relationships, and that is conscious awareness of your codependence. Now, we touched on this briefly earlier, and I didn't know what codependence was forever, really, until I started reading up on it. It sounds like it's something I think most people associate it with, like alcoholics or drug addicts, but it's not just that. What it is any time that you feel the need to outsource validation of yourself from another person. That's usually how it presents in relationships, when you are looking to somebody else to give you a sense of completeness or self-worth, or as validation that you're good enough or beautiful enough or sexy enough or, desirable enough. Because without that, you don't feel you are. Well, that is codependence. It's basically the outsourcing of something from someone else outside of yourself. So the good news here is that it's not about thwarting the need from validation from our life. I really feel like that's impossible. I think we've got an inherent human need to connect and receive appreciation from people outside of ourselves. So we all love hearing compliments. We love, receiving words or demonstrations that we are appreciated and valued. Very important. But it's just being aware of when we cross the line from having a healthy human drive for that versus needing someone else's approval and validation that we are enough. So it's feeling good inside and enjoying reciprocal love and appreciation versus feeling shit inside and needing someone else to supply our sense of self-worth. There's a difference there. I'm sure you can pick up on it. And it's that conscious awareness of where we're trending. That's what we're aiming for. So, how interesting. I am really feeling like I want this person to like me quite desperately, Because if they don't, what does that mean about me? What if no one's going to like me? And that's when you start getting, that's a fear of scarcity also coming into the whole situation. And it usually does compile that way. But when you feel, I know, I went for years actually. I've said in other podcasts, I've gone for years going for guys who are massive projects, have many great emotional needs, or are emotionally distant, and need a lot of extra work, who are quite high maintenance or have their own stuff going on. And I much preferred going for guys that were a project and felt that way, because that meant I could focus all my attention on them and then not have to worry about myself and deal with my own issues, my own trauma and my own sense of self. I literally just became the person that I thought they would want me to be, the person that I thought they would love. And it wasn't truly myself. And it's exhausting being in that kind of relationship. And it's also quite deceptive, because you're not being yourself. So you're trying to make them fall in love with a version of you that isn't even you. It's an illusion. It's like I saw this awful meme the other day on Instagram of these two cats. And one of them, it had like a caption that said, "This is me when he doesn't look at me as I fall asleep and tell me I'm beautiful and amazing." And then this cat just smacked the other cat in the face. I thought, that is funny, but also I really hope that some relationships don't go that way, because if they do, if you really are needing somebody to tell you all the time that you're beautiful and you're amazing and, oh, I love you and you're loved, and well, that is just codependency and just so freaking toxic. I mean, if anyone's in a relationship like that, run a mile, please, because that is not what you want in your life. So anyway, yes, have a conscious awareness of your codependent traits. Again, it's taking that standpoint of being the higher observer of your thoughts and your behaviors, and just with loving curiosity, not judging yourself or anything like that, but just like, ooh, how interesting. Here I am at work and I've been staring out the window for a couple of minutes now, just wondering whether he still likes me. Even though there was no red flags and nothing really for me to worry about, I'm just ruminating about if he actually is into me, or if I maybe did something that might have annoyed him that has turned him off, or right, that kind of thought process. That's a little bit codependent. That is us worrying far too much about whether someone likes us or not. And that is something that we just need to be aware of, because then you can literally turn around to yourself and say, hang on a minute, why am I worrying so much about what they're thinking and how they're feeling? Why don't I reflect instead on how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking? Do I like them? Am I happy now? What am I going to do in this moment to bring myself happiness, rather than worrying about whether they're going to be available to bring me happiness in the future? Right? You get it? All right, let's go on to the third tool. Now, the third thing is what I always bang on about, my 5 essential root factors of every healthy, loving relationship. So important when it comes to having a very early detection system in place, so that you can spot toxic relationships and unhealthy partners a mile off. So to remind you what they are, the factors, FACTR, are friendship, attraction, congruent values and beliefs, trust, and respect. And even early on in a relationship, it's very apparent when one of those essential root factors has been started to be a little bit frayed, or is not being developed in the way that it should. And it really, all 5 root factors need to be very strong and solid. In fact, any behavior that they show that diminishes or is against one of those roots is a red flag. And like I always say, if it happens once and they have a decent excuse, fair enough. But if it happens more than once, really sit up and take notice of that, because your time is precious and you don't want to waste it on somebody who is not going to give you the healthy, loving relationship you truly want. So to recap, the 3 very important tools you need to know to stop you falling from the wrong guy and landing yourself in some toxic relationship that you truly do not want or deserve. We need to, 1, have a strong sense of our true self. Number 2, be consciously aware of our codependent traits that are showing up in our relationship. And number 3, We need to remember the essential root factors of every healthy, loving relationship and be mindful of red flags. Now, I just want to finish off by saying that if you do notice red flags in a relationship, or if you've been dating somebody for a while, or whatever stage you're at and you wake up to them, it is okay. It's okay to say, this isn't for me, no thank you, love and light to you, but actually you're not meant for me on this path. And trust that by letting go of what's not serving you, you're actually just going to make space for more of what you do want. It's unbelievable how it happens. It's like when you Marie Kondo your house and you get rid of a whole pile of crap that you think you're going to miss and you just found so hard to get rid of. You actually end up feeling freaking amazing. And then like something amazing will happen. You know, I don't know, a friend will ring you, you'll get the job you wanted, you will just, things seem to fall into place. You know, you find an outfit that you've forgotten about that you love, you'll come into some money. It's just unbelievable how when we do something that feels counterintuitive by letting something go that's no longer serving us, all we're doing is telling the universe, I'm not settling for this crap. I actually want more. So thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to let go and trust that better is coming to me. I refuse to settle for less than I deserve. It's a bit like if you walk into a restaurant on a boiling hot day and you're so excited to have an ice cold glass of wine, you know, the one with the frost on the outside of the glass, and it's delicious. And then they actually bring you a tea. You wouldn't just be like, okay, well, I guess it's liquid, I'll just drink up. No. I hope that you would politely tell the waiter that he brought the wrong drink and send it back, and allow him the space to bring you the right drink that you ordered, the one that you truly want to drink, the one you truly deserve to drink. And so it is in life. When we trust that exactly what we want is available and abundant and in stock waiting to be delivered to us, that is when everything ends up being delivered to our door. We literally just have to receive it in, and with welcoming arms and gratitude and a smile in our hearts. And if you think I'm on mushrooms and chatting shit, I just ask you to try it. Even if it's something very small, like for me, it was parking. That was my demonstration. Once upon a time, very early on in my spiritual journey, if you want to call it that one, when I was first waking up to this way of thinking, I needed to have my eyelashes done. I was going on holiday and I thought, you know what, I really want to have my eyelash extensions done. And I thought, okay, do you know what? I'm going to try out this whole universe thing. So I was walking down the road, I was in Piccadilly Circus, and I almost tripped over this sign that said angel. Oh, and the way I do it is I ask my angels. I love angels. So I just say, thank you, angels, for bringing me my eyelash extensions that I need for my holiday. And then lo and behold, as I said, I tripped over this sign and it was called Angel Lash. And there was a special offer on that day, 30% off. And I walked in and they had one appointment left and I booked it in and they were fabulous eyelashes. It's just the way it works. I was like, and obviously it had to be called Angel Lash. I mean, that is just no mistake. It was crazy. I've had so many experiences like that in my life. It's unbelievable. I know I've given you a lot today. So look, just let it percolate and just practice having a think about your thoughts. Just notice how you're thinking about yourself and any little codependent thoughts that you might have had in the past, or perhaps do a gentle assessment of past relationships. Whatever you choose to do, just allow it to be gentle and be so kind to your wonderful self. You really deserve a very kind voice in your head. I really hope that today brings you closer to the love and life you're meant for. And if you'd like to continue on the conversation we've had today, do get in touch. I would absolutely love to hear from you. It'd be an absolute pleasure. You can drop me an email anytime. You can also pop on the website and leave me a speak pipe, which goes directly to me. Love hearing from you. It's always, always fantastic to hear when people are listening to this and enjoying it. All right, lovely. Lots of love until next time. Bye. You should be so proud of this courageous, incredible journey you are on. And I'm so happy to be here supporting you to say goodbye to toxic relationships and claim the wonderful life and love you truly deserve. If you have a friend who you think needs to hear today's episode too, why not spread the love and share it with them? Sending you so much love in abundance. Until next time.